Hey, Coach McBroom here again, Golden Demon Baseball, and this is another episode of Demon Baseball 101. And before we get started here, just a little review on the baseball standards. I know we've been talking a lot about our standards here at Golden High School, and we just got to make sure we don't forget what they are. GPA 3.0 unweighted, 95% attendance, no D's or F's. Be an example in school and dress up for game days and help your teammates. Don't forget, this is what you guys picked, so live up to those standards. All right, so here is the game plan. This episode is about mental toughness. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about mental toughness, some of the characteristics that are involved with mental toughness, and then a short video on Derek Jeter. So here we are, mental toughness. You hear mental toughness a lot in sports today. Somebody does something well, some does something good. People talk about their mental toughness and how it helped them overcome, or they are succeeding because of the mental toughness. But the reality of it is when people talk about mental toughness, there's never really an example or a definition as to what that looks like. So being mentally tough is important for our program to succeed, or for our players to be successful. So it definitely helps if we have some mental toughness. But we're going to talk about what that mental toughness is. Now, here's the way it is. Here's the way I see it. So we have mental toughness on the screen here, and there's a mental toughness umbrella. And underneath that umbrella, we have a bunch of different characteristics. So the way I see it is we have 12 characteristics underneath this umbrella. Now, the more of these characteristics that we are good at, that we can do well, the more mentally tough we are. So if we're good at 2 of these, let's say that we have confidence and we are competitive. And those are the only things we're good at. We have trouble focusing. We're not very well motivated. Our work ethic's not very good. We're not going to be very mentally tough. So the way that I see it, like I said before, is the more of these characteristics that you have, the more mentally tough that you are going to be. And being mentally tough is something that we should strive to be. Obviously, this is for our high school baseball team, but being mentally tough in whatever it is that you're going to do is going to be beneficial to you. So the sooner we start practicing it, the sooner we start working towards becoming more mentally tough, the better it's going to be for us overall, not just in baseball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through each one of these. We're going to go through each one of these characteristics, and we're going to briefly talk about them. And I want you guys to think about, as we go through them, if it's something that you currently practice. And if it's not, then you need to start thinking about what you can do to improve on that. And if it is something you currently practice, awesome. Keep working on improving it still. So here we go. So mentally tough. Oh, also, here's kind of how this works. I have a little theme going here. Every slide is going to be a different college baseball field. So some program that has found a way to incorporate mental toughness into their program that has experienced success because they take time to build character and to work on the off the field stuff, the person as well, the mental part of the game, to help them achieve on the field. So obviously this one's TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. One of my favorites if you know me. All right, so here we have grit. Excuse me. So for me, grit is arguably the most important piece of being mentally tough. And it involves other characteristics too. So the definition for grit is perseverance and passion for long-term goals with no particular concern for rewards or recognition along the way. So being able to have the passion for something, loving something that we do, and being able to make a commitment to that passion that we have over an extended amount of time, and not doing it because we're getting something out of it or because people tell us we're doing a good job, just because we love it. It's been proven that it's the number one characteristic found in high achieving athletes and in all professional fields. So if you look at the people that have succeeded in sports or in the business world or wherever it may be, you're going to find grit in all of them. No world-class athlete. So if you think about some of these athletes, whether it be Olympic, professional, whatever, no world-class athlete has put in less than 10 years of practice to become who they are now. So it definitely takes time. If you want to be the best at something, You got to have grit, and you got to put in the work over an extended amount of time to make that happen. Grit, believe it or not, has been proven to be more important than intelligence. So having grit, if you want to be great at something, obviously intelligence helps, but having grit is the number one factor that you need even before intelligence to make that happen. So this is grit, one of the number one things, arguably the number one thing that you need to be mentally tough. Hey, so I'm going to kind of cruise through these, by the way. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each one. So if you think you need to stop and write something down, because there will be 10 questions, that's up to you. Obviously, you can come back and watch the video too. All right, the next school we have here is Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. All right, so we have passion. So passion and perseverance were used to define what grit was. So I guess we need to make sure we know what passion and perseverance are. So passion is a strong emotion you have inside of you for someone or something that a person loves, investing time and effort towards. So something that you love, and you love, maybe, we're talking about baseball once again. But a lot of you guys, I see you work at becoming better at baseball, not because it's a job, but because it's what you enjoy doing. And this is a game, and it's supposed to be about fun. So this is something that you love. You have passion for it. You love doing it. You come out and you hit in the cages or take fly balls or take ground balls or play long toss because you love it. It's something that makes you happy. And that's a passion. And hopefully you have the passion for the game, because if you got that passion for the game, it's going to help you be successful. Perseverance, continuing to work toward a goal, even if there's a delay in getting it or a difficulty in achieving it. So even if you fail over and over and over and over again, you don't give up. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're passionate about it. You love doing it. So the failure doesn't discourage you from wanting to continue to do it. It motivates you. And if we've talked about mindsets already, we talked about the growth mindset and we talked about the fixed mindset. And failure does not deter a growth mindset. Okay, we welcome failure because it teaches us what we need to get better at. So perseverance is not giving up on something. All right, our next school here is University of Arkansas, Arkansas Razorbacks. All right, resilience, also arguably a very important piece of mental toughness. Defeat, bad games, winners know how to let those go. As a matter of fact, the game right after their disappointing performance is likely to be one of their best. Winners know how to bounce back. So we spend a little bit of time thinking about failures or thinking about how we can improve on these failures, and then we move forward and we focus on what we need to do to be successful. We use our failures to help us improve as an individual or as a player. So resilience, super important. We don't dwell on the bad. We're not thinking about what happened yesterday. We're focused on now, because that's what we can control, is what we're doing right now. Next is focus. The ability to tune out distractions such as a crowd of screaming fans, opponent chatter, or pressure of the moment, and direct attention on the task at hand. So being able to focus on what we're doing right now, to put our mind, to be able to have our mind focus on the moment. We talked about resilience. We're not thinking about the fact that we made 3 errors yesterday. We're not thinking about the fact that we struck out 3 times yesterday. We're focusing on what's happening right now, right in front of us. And I think that's one of the things that we have a hard time with sometimes. We carry the failures that we have into our next at bat or into the field. We have an at bat, guys in scoring position, we strike out, we go in the dugout, we're mad, then we go out into the field and we're still thinking about that, and then a ground ball's hit to us, and what do? We make an error. So being able to put those things behind us and focus on what we're doing right now, no matter what's going on, no matter what the pressure is super important. All right, our next place here, Vanderbilt or Vandy. Work ethic, the ability to maintain proper moral values within the workplace. It is an attitude that shapes the way an individual performs its job duties with high moral standards. So, long story short, how much work do we put in? How much effort do we put in? What does that look like? We talk a lot about outworking people, being blue collar. And part of being blue collar is what our work ethic looks like. So being able to go on the field and give everything you got, and taking advantage of every practice, of every time that you come up to the field and hit with your buddies. So that work ethic, are we outworking people? Because sometimes we've talked about this before too. There's a person somewhere, some player somewhere that's working towards the same things that you want, whether it be a league championship, a state championship, an athletic scholarship. Don't let somebody else outwork you. Don't let that be the reason why something didn't happen. Okay, motivation. A person's internal willingness to exert physical or mental effort in order to complete a goal, accepted as a main reason why athletes fulfill their potential or do not. So you might have a great work ethic. You might be the guy that works super hard when they're at the field, but the problem is you're not motivated to go to the field. So when you're there, you do great, but you're not there very often. So you got to find out what that motivation is going to be, what that internal drive, that fire you have inside, what's going to motivate you to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. And no matter, and not necessarily in sports, but in whatever it is. So you got to find what that motivation is. And like it says, it's a lot of times it's why athletes fulfill their potential or they don't, because they don't have motivation or they do. Like I said before, think about, as we go through these, think about kind of where you fit in with each one of these. All right, next school, UCLA Bruins. All right, preparation. The action or process of making ready or being made ready mentally and physically for use or consideration. So bottom line is, what do we do if we've done everything that we can in our power to prepare for a game or an event or a tryout? There's nothing else we can do, then we have to be 100% happy with the results. We've done everything we can to be able to succeed. We've put in the time mentally and physically. We've prepared as much as we can. And now we just go out and play baseball. However, if we haven't prepared, if we really haven't put the work in, then honestly, what's the expectation? If we don't work very hard, do we really expect to achieve the goals the higher goals that we've set for ourselves? You probably shouldn't. At some point, they're going to catch up to you. If you're not putting the work in and you're not prepared, then you're not going to get what you want. Confidence, super important. The belief so you have to have the belief in your ability to complete a physical skill or task required in sports, no matter the pressure of the moment. So no matter the moment, okay, if we're playing against some team that's not won a game in the last 3 years, it's super easy to have confidence. We believe that we're going to beat those teams. And individually, we probably think we're going to be successful too. The question mark is always, what kind of confidence are you going to have when you step up to the plate and you're in a playoff game and the pressure's on and there's a guy on the mound that's throwing 85 miles an hour? Are you going to still be confident in yourself? Because you got to find a way to be confident in yourself. A lot of our success, or individual or team, is stemmed around the confidence. And you have to be able to believe, and maybe it's because you put the preparation in, that you're going to be successful. So the belief in your ability to complete a physical skill or task required in sports, no matter the pressure of the moment. All right, the Raging Cajuns, one of my favorite schools, University of Louisiana Lafayette. If you don't know much about this school, you should look into them. They play the game right. Persistence, refusing to give up or let go, ability to stick with something, continue trying to do something, even in spite of difficulty or opposition. Strive to be even better. So the persistence is the guy that he always gets back up, man. You get knocked down, you get right back up. You stick with it. You're focused on what your goal is. Nothing's going to stop you. You've set a goal for yourself, and nothing is going to get in the way. You're going to do whatever it takes. Put in the work. Be a dirtbag on the field. Have that blue collar mentality. All those things necessary. Persistent is no matter what happens, you are going to achieve that goal that you set for yourself, no matter the obstacle or the adversity. Fortitude, courage during times of adversity. Pretty simple stuff, if you ask me. The hardest thing for a player, an athlete, is when things go wrong, how do you respond? And that always says something about the type of team we are or the type of player you are. Okay, when the things are at the worst, that's when we really find out what kind of player you are, what kind of team we have. We lose a game, how do we respond the next day? We strike out 3 times, how do we perform on the 4th at bat when I need you the most? Fortitude. Oregon State Beavers, one of the oldest baseball fields in the country. Obviously, they've made a lot of improvements with the stands and the facilities, but the actual field is one of the oldest ones in the country. All right, commitment. Big piece for me, committing to something. Dedicating yourself to something like a team or a cause for an extended amount of time. Full investment, willingness to sacrifice, long-term obligation. Okay, commitment is why our program is where it is, because a lot of the guys over the years have made a commitment to this program and have made sacrifices or invested 100% for a long time, not just when it's convenient for them. So commitment, super important. Commit to your teammates, commit to yourself, commit to your program. All right, so we've kind of ran through what all these characteristics are. Hopefully you thought about which ones apply to you, which ones you do well, which ones you need to improve on. So we're going to watch a short video on Derek Jeter here. Derek Jeter, I'm sure you guys know who Derek Jeter is. I have a lot of respect for Derek Jeter. I'm not a huge Yankees fan, but I have a lot of respect for who he was as a player. He did a lot of things right, and he played the game right. And so this video is going to talk about numerous things. It's Jeter 10 rules. But in this video, it speaks specifically to work ethic, competing, motivation, perseverance, resilience, confidence, commitment, persistence, all these things we talk about. There's no coincidence that Derek Jeter seemed to always be in the right place at the right time. He wasn't just lucky. He created his luck. He did a lot of things right, where he was in the right place at the right time, and because of his preparation, made the right play when he was there. You'll see in some of the videos here too, man. He had an amazing career, did a lot of great things. Very envious of a guy like Derek Jeter. For anyone that loves the game of baseball, he's the epitome of what a great career looked like. So there'll be 10 questions after this is all said and done. If you need to take notes, need to go back and watch this, go for it. But we're going to watch the Derek Jeter video from here on out.
One thing I've always prioritized, my number one priority for the last 20 years was my baseball career. That's it. I did a lot of other things, but I never wavered from that being my number one goal. And I'm always big in setting goals and trying to reach those goals and working hard. And there's steps along the way. So I think prioritizing is the number one thing. I think sometimes people have so many different goals and they're going in this direction, that direction, and they never reach the potential of one particular avenue that they're going. So, throughout my career, I've been very involved in different businesses and marketing and foundation, but my number one priority was always the game, and now my priorities changed, so I can focus on some other things.
Popped up, short center, Jeter out, Cano, and did Jeter catch it? Wow, what a miraculous catch. Unbelievable.
I've always been focused on his work ethic. I've always been taught there's always going to be someone that's better, but there's no reason why someone should outwork you, and I think that applies not only to sports, but it applies to anything that you're trying to do. You have to work harder than other people if you want to be the best, and never be satisfied. You know, I never satisfied. I always try to think of what I can do next to be better.
You have to win here. That's the bottom line. Is what have you done lately? You know, we were able to accomplish a lot of good things early on. We've been in the postseason every year so far, but the bottom line is when you're competing, you want to win. I mean, that's why you're out there. It's finishing second, finishing third, going to the postseason is not good enough. And I think everyone should have that mentality. When you go into a season, you win a championship or it doesn't mean anything.
Have you always had that kind of mentality, even before you got to New York, or did it?
No question. No, I was younger. You know, I always wanted. My dad used to beat me at everything we did.
He wouldn't let you win.
No, he wouldn't let me win. So now I don't let anyone else win. So you know, I've always had that mentality. It's pointless, from my point of view, if you're competing, you don't win.
And the 2-0. There it is. For 72 years, Lou Gehrig has been the Yankees' all-time hits leader. Now, it's Derek Jeter.
Family, they're the ones that, I have a very close family. And you know, they've always been very supportive. More importantly, they've always been very honest. You know, I think a lot of times people in general like to surround themselves with people that are going to tell them that everything they're doing is right. You know what I mean? You need people around you who are going to tell you when you're doing wrong. And you know, my parents are very, very honest. Even if I don't want to hear something, they'll tell me. They'll give me their opinion. So I'd say family is most important. And then secondly, your friends. It's the same thing. I think you know, your friends are the ones that are going to help you. They're the ones that are going to support you. At times, they're going to be the ones that get you in trouble. So you have to make sure that you surround yourself with a good group of friends.
And the 1-1, a high pop, off third foul. Brocious and Jeter are there. Jeter makes the catch and falls into the crowd. And he's out. They gave him the out call, and Brocious now throws the second, and now time is called. And I don't know what the ruling is. Chavez went to second because Jeter was in the crowd. And Jeter now climbs out of the crowd. But Derek Jeter made an unbelievable catch. And as he hit with his waist on the railing down the third baseline, he backflipped into the crowd and held onto the ball. What a catch by Derek Jeter. What a play.
You know, I learned something from watching Mr. Torrey for all these years. You know, you always hear the phrase, you treat everyone the same. Well, that's not correct. I mean, you treat everyone fairly. You gotta try to be the same every day. I mean, you don't come and hold your head up high when things are going well, and then when things are going bad, you find a way to hide. Leadership, I don't think, is something that's appointed. I think it's something that's earned.
Jeter hits it into right. Back at the wall. Game over. Yankees win, and the series is tied.
I have a lot of confidence. I think you have to have confidence in your ability. I mean, I think the stronger you are mentally, I think the better you're going to perform. So I've always had confidence. Anytime I'm in a situation, I tend to look back and think back to times that I had success, and I think that's helped me out throughout.
And toward the hole, Jeter backhands from the outfield grass. Got him! Man, what a play!
I'm fans of athletes from all different sports. I've never tried to emulate anyone else. I've tried to be myself. I've learned a lot from watching guys, you know, especially guys when I was younger. But I think in terms of leadership, I think leadership is viewed differently by different people. I mean, there's people that lead by example. There's people that are vocal leaders, people that do a little bit of both. I think you just have to be who you are. You know,
How would you categorize your leadership?
a little bit of both. You know, I really try to take the time to get to know the people that I'm leading. I think that's most important. I don't think you walk around as a self-proclaimed leader. I think if you do things the right way, you're honest with people, people may tend to follow. But, I don't put on a show. I don't do things in front of a camera. I've had plenty of conversations with teammates behind closed doors. And, I've always heard, oh, you're not vocal. He's not vocal. He's just lead by example. But, how would people know unless they're behind closed doors? So I have no problem with that. Like I said, I think the most important aspect of leadership is getting to know the people that you're leading.
Doesn't outscore him base the entire season, so you're not going to run, you're not going to hit and run. You got to wait for a gapper.
That is there down the right field line. Giambi on his way to third, and they're going to wave him around. The throw misses a cutoff man, shot into the plate, out of the plate. Derek Jeter with one of the most unbelievable plays you will ever see by a shortstop.
What's your message to kids nowadays that are playing sports, whether it's baseball or any sport? What's your message to the youth of today?
Have fun playing. I think kids nowadays, they specialize in one particular sport at such an early age. When I was younger, we used to go outside and play every game. Now you don't really see kids outside playing. They're all inside playing video games, there's a time and place for everything. But I said go out, play as many sports as you can, be active, and enjoy yourself, have fun. I think you can't lose sight of the fact that it is a game, you're supposed to enjoy yourself.
Meat deals. Base hit to right field. Here comes Richardson. Here's the throw from Markakis. Richardson is safe. Derek Jeter ends his final game with a walk-off single. Derek Jeter, where fantasy becomes reality. Did you have any doubt?
How was Dave Winfield an inspiration? Dave was, for those of you that don't know, I still think he's the only athlete to be drafted in all three sports. So anyone here that thinks they're a good athlete can't compare to Dave. But he was an inspiration to me because he was one of the first athletes to start his own foundation. And that's the idea and the inspiration of my own foundation, was because when I was younger I read up on Dave and I wanted to be like him.
1-2. He loops out to left field. Going to be a tough play. Jeter on the run, makes the play, and flies into the stands. Oh, what a play by Derek Jeter! Wow, Jeter really banged himself up.
I think he caught you could see the redness in his face. He caught the power of that box. What a play.
You're going to struggle. That's the bottom line. I don't care how good you are, you're going to fail. You failed 7 out of 10 times, you go to the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? So I was talking to a group of my leaders once, and this was right around the time I got 3,000 hits, and I said, oh, I have 3,000 hits, but I've gotten out 7,000 times, you know what I mean? So it's not funny. I don't think it's funny, but you get out quite a bit. So I've always just tried to remember the good times, and you have to have a very short memory, and you have to stay positive. But I don't care what career you're in, you're going to fail. You're going to have tough times. People always look at people that when they're successful and they assume they just woke up and they ended up in that position, but there's a lot of speed bumps along the way. It's just your job to try to make that speed bump not be a roadblock, you know what I mean? But you have to learn from your mistakes and move on and stay positive. And mistakes, I think you can learn more. I always tend to learn more from people's failures than their success. So I think you have that approach.